I've owned my Range Rover for 1 year now, and in this video we are going to go through how much it actually costs to own and run one of these things for a year, and how it's cost me twice the car's value. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of this, like the video if you liked it, and share if you want other people to see it, and drop a comment below. Do you have any similar experiences, and do you think this is an absolutely stupid idea and I'm just coping, or do you think I've made the right choice? So without further delay, let's get into this video on my wonderful experience and traumatic experience with my Range Rover for 1 year. The world of owning one of these cars is filled with lots of different emotions. So I'll just walk you through my months, essentially, a good timeline on how things have been. So bought the car from Bradford, the best place to buy used cars in the world, and the first month of owning this was absolutely gut-wrenching, I've got to admit. The hype online around these things exploding was just insane. So you've got to cope with that for your first month. You've got to understand that this is going to explode. And once you've finally gotten through the delusion of, oh no, mine's a good one, mine's not going to have any problems, you'll be hit by a problem. And it will cut through it like a hot knife through butter. It will cut through your delusions. And you'll find out that there's no such thing as one with no problems, because it's old, and it's an old car, and it's a complicated car. And then you won't look too smart then. But once you've accepted this car for all its faults, you move into the 3 to 6 month ownership bracket in your first year, and you realise that while it is great, it is a bit flawed. And you accept it for what it is. And then after then, you get to the whole mature L322 experience within your first year, which is you just accept it. You just realise, you know, it's going to make some noises, and those noises are going to indicate things that need to be fixed, and it's also going to break down a few times. Just have a backup. That's all I have to say. With this car though, I think the main thing is the cost involved. The driving experience, you've seen this a million times. It's fine, it's great, commanding of the road. 2 cyclists in front of me, they're terrified. They know I could mow them down right now. And it would be, one would have Rover carved into his face, and the other would have Range carved into his back as well. It really is magnificent. But you can watch a million different reviews of people that don't actually own these things, and they'll tell you all that. In this video, we're going to get into the real meat and potatoes of what it actually is to own one of these things, what the actual experience is like. You'll be hated, you'll be loved, you'll be despised. But the most important thing is that you buy this car for the right reasons. So let's get into that now. What's the damage, and why is that completely justifiable? So we have had, in 1 year of Range Rover ownership, 3 incidents. Now they vary in complexity, severity, so on, and cost, inevitably. But yeah, we'll just get right into this one. So the first incident was for £1,184, and that was the rear brake caliper coming off on the M1. Now that left us completely stranded. We had to get recovered. First time actually ever using an emergency phone, so thanks Range Rover for giving me that valuable life experience, really appreciate it. So that was caused by some terrible fixings and terrible workmanship on part of some garage in the past, I'm told. Anyway, we couldn't get any rear carriers that were correct for this car, so we had to go directly to Land Rover. Hence the huge cost, because I think that was about 600 quid for one carrier. Did all the rear brakes at the same time, so new discs, new pads, flushed the whole brake system because there was no record of it done. Again, £1,184. Pretty standard, I've been told, I'm afraid. Apparently the Chinese reproduction ones don't last nearly as well, so that's why we ended up going for what we went for. So that was fine. So that was after a couple of months of motoring. Then we had our second incident, which is the just before the MOT, the wonderful side steps just collapsed. So that was 40 quid because I just had to buy some new mud flaps, really. Just had to get them off. They're absolutely awful. Grind off the or the rust around the bolts and basically extract them. Pretty terrible job, I have to admit. So that was 40 quid. Then we had the wonderful third incident. So I've almost had, touch wood, wherever the wood is in this car, touch wood, I don't have any more of the, I have one like horseman of the apocalypse left, which is the turbos. Please now. So the second incident was, you guessed it, the air suspension. So the air suspension failed. Thought it was going to be some mad problem. Oh, it's Range Rover air suspension, it's going to explode and ruin your life. Turns out it was just the front left airbag was the only one that hasn't been replaced. So word on that one, the reason why it was a bit more than usual, because I know a lot of people will go on eBay, or some people have, you know, probably bought these for £119 before, or however much they are. We went for the Dunlop ones because they're just far better. I've been told they're even better quality than OEM. Here we are. So that's what I went for. And I fitted that myself. It probably would have been a lot more money if, well, definitely would have been a lot more money if I'd have had someone fit it for me. Because at the end of the day, they've got to get paid too, and they've got to eat. So that would have been, I essentially negated the labour costs with a whole morning of fitting my own shock, and it comes as a unit, so it's easy. It's easy peasy. So it's nowhere near as hard as everybody makes out. Everybody seems to think that these cars are like witchcraft to work on. In some respects, they are, like the turbo change, and I'll never attempt that myself. I don't think I would anyway. Never say never. The turbo changing and stuff, but the rest of it is just, it's a car. It's not that difficult. Well, it's not that difficult for me. And I'm like a real amateur mechanic. So that is in repairs, we're this much, which I'll put on the screen. So probably about 1,500 in repairs in 1 year. So we've nearly reached half the value of the car. Next though was the really irritating one. Which is where the locking wheel nuts, 2 of them, seized. They have these silly locking wheel nuts on these cars when they were new, absolutely pants. I replaced those and got them. Basically, we welded a socket to one of them, and painful. £30, 80p. I've included that. Then we just had the standard minor service. That was £130. But this is where it gets a bit interesting. Now, a lot of people have a lot of things to say about the government. But one thing is on the road tax. So the road tax on this car, I'm pretty sure, is £781 per year, which is the top bracket, the top band. That is insane. But fair enough. I mean, if you're driving a Range Rover and you can't afford to tax it, more for you. You shouldn't be driving a Range Rover. You maybe should have researched a bit. Insurance for me as a young man, if you can still call me that, £1,300 a year. Yikes. And fuel is the next big one, which is £130 per month, and that is £1,560 in total for the whole year. So the car cost me £2,650, and the total cost to run the car is nearly twice that at £5,281.80. So in total, I'm in this car for what, like 7 grand, 6 and a bit? Yeah, no, nearly 8, 7 odd, top end of 7. So it is what it is, I think. I think what a lot of people get lost on with these cars, right, and I'll be brutally honest with you, is the capability of these cars, right? If you're buying this, and as I said, this is going to be brutally honest, if you're buying this to trundle to work and back and show your mates and go, I've got a Range Rover, it's probably not for you, right? Fair enough, do whatever you want, cool. I would say it's probably not for you. You're not going to be able to justify cost v benefit. But for me, what I've done is let the car speak for itself. Let the capabilities of the car speak for themselves. I mean, we've done all sorts with this, and I'm perfectly happy with that figure, I've got to admit. Because if I wouldn't be sat in it right now. We've chopped things down in the garden and slung them straight in the back, and the car has gone, yeah, all right, mate. Done a million tip runs. It's gone, yeah, all right, mate, easy peasy stuff. I mean, that's the mundane things, right? These are the things that you want, you know, the Land Rover to just get on with. Then you've got borrowing caravans. We've borrowed a caravan. I know, towed a caravan. Easy peasy. Just took it. Easy. And that saved us a few quid. Lovely experience, even though I was ill all that show. Great experience towing a caravan, and I could probably just go get one, and then I'll even see, you know, I could go save up for one and go buy a caravan. I see even more cost v benefit with this car. We've also bought loads of furniture and collected free furniture to look to have in our room. Fantastic. Loads of mid-century stuff. We've basically got a themed room, which is pretty cool. So that's another thing. It just eats it. If you have a working Land Rover, I would call it, a working Land Rover, you will see the benefit, right? A working Land Rover is a Land Rover that is used for what it's intended to be used for. Going off-road, so on and so forth. Utility, it's a utility vehicle. But if you use it as a, a content cow on your YouTube channel, which, you know, you'll probably see a lot of money from that, I'm going to be honest with you. Some people do. They see a lot of money from getting a car and going, my trim's rattling. It could explode. If you can't cope with things like trim rattling and stuff like that, maybe it's not your car. That's kind of the thing, really, that I want to get across in this video, is it's not, this car is just not this, it's expensive. It was £65,000 new, a lot of these, and they're just, the amount of people I see that just buy them and think, oh, it's a Rolls Royce for Mondeo money. Great. It's just, yeah, it is, technically. But it's not Mondeo money, though, is it? Not when it's biting you in the ass every 5 months of a year. If you view it as a utility vehicle, a nice piece of machinery, which is what this car is, you'll be A-OK. If you go off-roading, that's the next bit of experience enhancement that I would say you get. If you take this off-road, I've done it once, and I went down like some lane and got stuck and had to do like a 400-point turn, as you can see by this photo here. But if you do that, oh, and I also went through a Ford, that was cool. Decided to go back and forth through it. Don't know why. Again, it's a Land Rover thing, I guess. And that's the key takeaway from this video. If you explore the capabilities of the car and use it to its fullest potential, that price that I've just said is negligible to you. But if you use it as a posemobile and a status symbol, whatever the hell, you use it as, you know, a commuter car, which is fine, you do that, do what you want. You know, everybody can do whatever they want. I'm not telling you what to do, but it's just my opinion. If you use it as that, you're not going to see any value from it. You're going to get it, it's going to blow up, it's going to have its problems, and you're going to moan about it on the internet. And then you're going to sell it on, and someone's going to buy it very cheap, and the cycle will repeat. Or you'll fix everything, sell it, and the cycle repeats again. So that's really it for this video. An honest ownership review, no fanciness, no other things. I've owned this car for 1 year. I've used my money, my working man money, to fund this car and keep it on the road, as have its previous owners, except for one that used tax. Anyway, I have used my money to keep this on the road. No car flipping here, nothing like that. This is completely honest and open. It's not a content queen. You know, you don't really ever see it, to be quite honest with you. But I would say, if you're getting it for its capabilities and its heritage, fantastic. If you're getting it to go, I've got a Range Rover, I've got a Land Rover, don't bother. Get something that is, you know, that's far more cost efficient. Be smart about it. But if you're going to do that though and not moan about it all the time, feel free to whatever the hell you want. So that is the end of the video, everybody. Back to our normal programming on Wednesday with history videos, more cars and classics uncovered, and maybe more projects. But as always, thank you for watching. Keep watching and remember to subscribe for more of this. And I'll see you in the next one.